Justice now.
Obstruction
Justice
to
now.
justice. Obstruction to justice. Obstruction to justice. Justice now.
Well, hello, and welcome to another broadcast of Obstruction to Justice. I'm Ann Moles, and today we're going to just dive right in and chat about a couple of relevant topics of the day, I think. Very interesting topics, and of course, we get to talk about politics. We get to talk about different local current events, and of course, my favorite, business. So let's just jump right in. Just feel free to go ahead and join the chat so you can put your comments in. You want to chime in on what we're talking about today. You have some input you'd like to share. Go ahead and do that, and I'll post it up on the board where folks can see and definitely would enjoy your input. Of course, we also post these. Big shout out to all of the YouTubers and Facebookers and Twitchites and all the other places that we post. So, if you don't catch it today, go ahead and catch it when you can and enjoy the broadcast. Uh, now, participation is always appreciated when it comes to the broadcast. And these are relevant topics. If there's something that you'd like to talk about, go ahead and drop us a line and put it in the chat, and I'll go ahead and take a look at that for time coming up soon. We have a couple of guests that will be coming up in the next week or two. And this is just an opportunity, too, for us to kind of dive into some ideas and some current events that I've been wanting to talk about. So, we're going to talk about today, we're going to chat about, of course, business, small business. Now, one thing about small businesses, um, it is the backbone of the American economy. Yeah. We always hear about the big, huge um, uh, corporate companies, the Fortune 100s and Fortune 500s, and those are cool, right? But when it comes to business in America, those that are taxpayers and contributors to the local economies, it's really about small business. So, we're going to talk about, I'm going to share small business information about one of our guests that had joined some months back. Now, I don't know. The weather here in the greater Kansas City, Missouri area, there was the lights were out last weekend, trees were blown. Some of the beautiful trees that I see when I walk, I have a spot where I like to walk. I saw one of the trees just split right in half, and some of it is still standing and it's still green, but then you can see the inside of the tree. So, if you're needing some tree service, stay tuned here and we're going to share with you about who you can call for your tree service needs. Now, Juneteenth, big announcement today, just a few hours ago, on the live wire, the national news about Juneteenth. And we're going to cover that. And then the Green Line Initiative. What is that? And then we get to also take a look at our Kwanzaa, Kwanzaa, and we'll look at a couple of the other key points of Kwanzaa. There are seven principles of Kwanzaa, and we've already talked about the three. So if you aren't familiar with Kwanzaa, of course it's out there to Google. And our discussion about three of the Kwanzaa, the first three, are out there on last week's broadcast, so you can go check that out. And we're going to talk about the next two, or at least the next one. We'll see if we can get to at least the next one, but we'll have the next two to discuss if we'd like to do that. So, small business. Oh my goodness, small business, the backbone of the economy, the national economy, the backbone of local communities here in America. it is just the place. It is what we use, what it is that runs our economy. The small business matters. And this company here, we talked and shared with this company a few weeks ago, actually a few months ago, the tree service in Lee Summit, Monster Tree Service in Lee Summit. Uh, and here, this is Monster Tree Service in Lee Summit. And we had a chance to talk with Cameron and Mia Kelly, and they are owners of this Monster Tree Service. So, if you're needing to have some work done in your yard, trees, the tree branches are littering your yard, your tree now needs service because now the branches are laying on the ground, whatever you're needing to do with your tree. And maybe your trees are okay. They weathered the storm from last week. Well, even still, trees do need to be serviced. So give them a call. This is Monster Tree of Lee Summit, and their number is 816 542 3338. That's 816-542-3338. And of course, they'll give you a free estimate. You can get a free estimate. Now, that if you want to know a little bit more about them before you give them a call, we did a broadcast with them, and I'm going to share that. So you can go out to the YouTube and check it out. It's out here on YouTube. And let me go grab that. And let's see. That was from December. So December the 16th. That's when we did this broadcast. And it's out there. So the Obstruction to Justice program from December the 16th does feature the Monster Tree Service of Lee Summit. And we get a chance. We dig right in. We dive into all of the issues of trees, or most of them, the concerns about trees and what you should look for. So if you're wanting some information before you give them a call, go ahead and check it out. The broadcast, Obstruction of Justice broadcast, and we're out there at there's Obstruction of Justice on the Union Rog Hill Films channel. And of course, ASBNC Training and Consulting. We also have a link out there for them, out there for the Obstruction of Justice broadcast out there. So go check them out, if you need more information, but definitely, or just give them a call. You can definitely just do that. And free estimate, what? You just can't beat that. Free estimate, and get your tree serviced. And that would be great if you're needing that service. Okay. Now, what I found to be super interesting is today I found information about Juneteenth and how. Well, let me just go ahead and share, and we'll just kind of talk through it. And how Juneteenth is scheduled to be voted on so that it will be a national holiday. Yeah. So let me go. First, I want to share. Let's share who the person was that just knocked on the doors, petitioned, led the marches, used her voice. And there's an article out on ABC Channel 7 here, and it is Our America, Meet Opal Lee, the grandmother of Juneteenth. So there is a great clip out there where a newsreel where it shares Opal Lee, 95, is confident that Juneteenth will finally become a national holiday across the country this year. So this is out of Houston. The ABC affiliate out of Houston wrote this article on their site, abc7.com. And it says Opal Lee may not may not be walking a mile in her ancestors' shoes, but she's taking several major strides in continuing their mission. The 94-year-old is confident that this year, Juneteenth, will finally become a national holiday across the country. So that newsreel is out there. And Juneteenth, I'm going to share another site here where it explains what Juneteenth is. Now, Juneteenth, just an overview of Juneteenth. Of course, it is a holiday in the African American community where it is the celebratory. We celebrate the freedom of the slaves, and this is what the holiday in the African American community is about. Now, I do want to share. Now, this is an interesting take on it as far as it being a national holiday, because they voted several times on it as far as whether or not, and we're talking about the the leaders in our government, voted several times as far as whether or not Juneteenth should be a national holiday, or would it, for it to be a national holiday. So let me go out and I'm going to grab this from CNN. It says that, now this is an article, a CNN article by Ted Barrett and a couple of other CNN reporters, and it was updated today. So this is breaking news, in that it gives a great overview of what Juneteenth is about. And I think I'm going to go and try it. I'm going to try to play this and see what we get from it. Okay, it's also known as Emancipation Day. It occurs on June 19th, this holiday. It commemorates the day Union troops in Galveston, Texas, told slaves of their freedom. The message came more than 2 years after President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, and about nearly 4 million slaves were freed during that time. Now, here is the plaque for Juneteenth, and all but 4 states now celebrate Juneteenth. And Juneteenth is not a federal holiday in the United States yet, okay, but it's coming to that. And we've agreed to a resolution and may consider the celebration of this country's Juneteenth celebration coming up. All right.
To embrace our history, to learn of our past.
Sadie Roberts Joseph shares. Oh, look at that quilt.
Of this country.
Black Independence Day, Juneteenth. All right. So that is what Juneteenth is all about. And that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Now, for it to go right now, it passed one. Now it needs to go to the House, the Congressional House. So with that, let's look at the United States congressional delegates from Missouri. I'm going to look at that, and we're going to share that. Now here, and why check it out? Check it out because, let me go ahead and share this. These are the people that you vote in. We vote these people in to office, and these are people that they're representing your local areas and your areas, so they should vote in what is of interest, right? So, of course, Wikipedia is out here now. I checked on some Wikipedia. I check and double check before I use Wikipedia, because people can go out and update or whatever with information, but it does share this information as far as the U.S. House of Representatives. Now, the district, the first district, which is in St. Louis. Shout out to St. Louis. How's the skating coming out in St. Louis? Skaters, skaters, skaters. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get rid of that phone. Okay, so the skaters in St. Louis hope that your rinks are open and you're hanging in there when it comes to what we need to do for COVID and making sure everyone's safe. But Cori Bush is the first, she's a Democrat in St. Louis. So these are the people that are going to be voting for the Juneteenth for it to be a national holiday. Ann Wagner is a Republican. She's in Baldwin. And Blaine Lutemeyer is a Republican. He's in Jefferson City. Vicky Hersliger, she's a Republican in Columbia. And Emmanuel Cleaver, he's a Democrat here in Kansas City. And Samuel Graves is a Republican in Tarkio. And William Long is a Republican in Springfield. And Jason Smith is a Republican in Salem. Okay, so these are the people that are representatives in the state of Missouri, and they're going to be voting. So now it comes to the vote. It comes to the House of Representatives to vote on whether or not to make Juneteenth a national holiday. Okay, now I think it's a great idea. I do. I think that it's another opportunity for this country to have the thought and the process of growing together and reconciling and bringing unity to this country. It would allow for the forethought to be there. So a day, we have Martin Luther King Day, which is a national holiday. And on that day, it does unify the United States. You know, those of us, even before it was a national holiday, I would take that day off and just commemorate and think about what that day means to the heritage, my heritage. I'm an African American person. But, you know, I would continue on with that. And here, now that it's a national holiday, I think it's great because then the whole country is made aware of the standards and the struggle that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stood for. And it doesn't get cast aside. I think a lot of what we deal with in this country is that there's always some other level of importance until someone gets killed, the police brutality continues, the oppression continues, whether it's financial oppression, you know, through redlining and other forms of oppression. Now, I did pick up this book called The Black Tax. Okay, and I'm working on it. I'm reading that, The Black Tax, The Cost of Being Black in America. So it's by Sean D. Rochester. And, you know, the what we're seeing in the book is that it shows the different forms of hindrances and in racism and differences in the communities and in our country. So in the oppression. So it shows that, and it gives an insight on what's happening, and I'm hoping to see some solutions, right? Because that's kind of what we're all about too here on Obstruction of Justice. We know the problems, but what about the solutions? And I think that would just be a great opportunity for when the Juneteenth becomes a national holiday. And they did announce it today that it passed one form of government. Now it has to go to the House. And looking forward to when it does, then it will give Americans another day to come together to commemorate and remind ourselves of how far we've come, but then work on and be aware of how far we need to go, because there's still disparities in what we are experiencing as Americans living in the same country and who are required to do the same things, right? We all have to work. We all have to uh, do what we can for our families. And these are just things that we do. We pay taxes. That's something else that we do as Americans in common. So, that's kind of what we're looking to do. I'm looking forward to it happening so that it does bring the thought to the forefront of what's going on in this country, and it keeps us aware so we don't just lose sight of what's happening and think that tomorrow is going to be a better day when we've done nothing today to make it better. you know Tomorrows are better when you make it better. So work on it the day that you're working on. Today I'm going to work on it, but today, what I do today, it's what makes a better tomorrow. So big shout out to Miss Opal Lee, the grandmother of Juneteenth, for her persistence, and the teams and people around this country that speak up for their liberties. At 94, she didn't give up the liberty that she has the right to celebrate what is, yes, a wonderful situation, a wonderful thing that did happen, and that's the emancipation. Even though it happened 2 years after the signing, it happened, and it is definitely a celebration, and the whole country needs to celebrate that, to know, so that we can move on to heal too. I think that's another good reason for it to be a national holiday. Yeah, feel free to chime in and say what you think about it. The thing about this, though, is that even though it easily passed the House of Representatives, it's going to, once it goes to the House of Representatives, then it needs to go to President Biden for his signature, and that's going to be cool, right? I think that this president is one, and I can't really say that even President Trump I think that he may have even considered it, because it's a unifying idea. It's a unifying solution to bringing the understanding of what happened in the past to the forefront so that we can continue to work on it. I think President Trump would have signed it if given the opportunity. Just because President Biden is a Democrat doesn't mean that he would sign it just because he's a Democrat. But of course, he's been known to lean towards I think they've come to some understanding of trying to unify the country, whether no matter what person you are, as far as discrimination, all genders and types of thought processes and thoughts of people and their ideals. So I think he's going to definitely sign it once it gets past the other form of government. So it says that she's been working to get this signed for 40 years, a 40-year journey. Yeah. So that's a long time to hold up the banner of, yes, we want to have this to be a national holiday, so that it will unite Americans, and definitely we as African Americans are aware of it, and we would come together. I've done several celebrations of Juneteenth, and just to be aware of it, so that it just we know in our families that that's just something that we do to remember our ancestors and the struggle. And that's something that we talk about here on Obstruction to Justice. As far as the struggle is concerned, there are all kinds of struggles. We share, even when it comes to business, there's a small business struggle, right? So I share and I like to feature small businesses and businesses in particular, small business, so that gives an opportunity for them to get exposure and for people to hear about good business opportunities and good service opportunities that's going on in the community. So it doesn't matter to me, and I think to most Americans, whether or not it's a white owned business, woman owned business, or a minority owned business. I think that small business is the unity of America, and that's what helps our economy. There's more small business, and it's the backbone of the economy. And with the COVID situation and the lockdowns and everything, the businesses getting hit, that says a lot in that, hey, what do we do? Are the small businesses still hanging in there? uh, so it's important to feature small business. It's important to understand what our economy is thriving on, that it's not just the big businesses. It's not just the big companies that have been around forever, for decades, and those that have picked up new technologies and ways of doing business, and now it's business has changed, and how we've lived has changed. It used to be where if we wanted something, we would just go to the local grocery store. Well, out here in the Oak Grove community, there was another local grocery store, but it couldn't stay in business for some reason. Well, maybe it's because also that the big Walmart is across the way. But I enjoyed shopping at my small grocery store. The big Walmart is there, but maybe I didn't need to go there. I think that maybe some of the produce was better, and just different, just a variety of, if I couldn't find it at the one store, then I could go to the other. And that's kind of how I enjoyed. Plus, competition is important when it comes to business. And if it's all about just the big businesses and everything, then we have to shop here because that's the only store that's there. Then that's kind of rough. I like my variety. I like to be able to shop around where, just shop. I don't want to have to go to this one particular store just because it's there, right? I want to be able to get to other places. And that's what small businesses offer. We don't see as many of them anymore because, like I said, the big box stores are taking the place of small business. And it's just kind of that way. But, we do feature them on Obstruction of Justice, and we enjoy doing that. Now, and we talked about the small businesses. We talked about Juneteenth. There's another familiar term. If we've been listening to the news, I know I haven't been too focused on the news per se because we're all busy. We have to continue on and work and take care of our families and focus on what it is we're doing for our lives and our purpose and what we're doing. So yeah, we don't all the time have time to watch the news, but there is something called the Green Line Initiative. Yeah, the Green Line Initiative. And I want to share that Green Line Initiative. And let me go out here. There is KNBC 9 News did a great story on this. And I'm going to go ahead and grab that and share that. Let's see, here we go. Green Line Initiative gift program to benefit from Give Black KC campaign. Okay, so that's what this is. And it's been out here. It's out here, KNBC 9 News. Now, the Green Line Initiative is something, program that says that it works on reducing crime, creating jobs, keeping kids in school, and are just some of the ways the Give Give Black KC campaign can help by helping fund organizations needed to create that change. Okay, so it's a short piece here. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and share this.
On the east side of Troost in Kansas City, homeownership is at just 38%. West of Troost, it's nearly double that. Casey's Green Line initiative is trying to bridge that gap.
Through the Green Line initiative, we do owner financing to help those who otherwise wouldn't be able to. And so you'd be helping people realize the American dream.
Green Line will benefit from funds raised through this week's Give Black KC campaign. Your donations will change lives in the urban core, creating a ripple effect.
For every home that we renovate through the Green Line initiative, crime goes down on the east side of Kansas City. For every homeowner that we create, their children are more likely to graduate from high school.
While Green Line is working to increase homeownership on the city's east side, the GIFT program is working to create more jobs at Black-owned businesses east of Troost. Some of the money raised in the Give Black campaign will provide grant money to help those Black businesses grow.
The investment in the Give Black campaign is not just an investment in the Give Black campaign. It's an investment in the well-being of Kansas City, and even not just the east side. You know, because if the east side flourishes, the whole region does.
Give Black KC is all about funding change where it's needed most.
If you're passionate about seeing a better Kansas City, this is a campaign that will help make that happen for the most vulnerable population of our city.
All right. So that is what that's all about, is the Green Line Initiative. That is very hopeful, right? So this is another solution. We were talking about solutions to problems. We know that there's been blight, urban blight, where those that used to live in the urban communities have moved out south. We talked about that. But here is where there is funding and opportunities to increase home ownership. So we talked about the redlining. So that was, that's something we still need to look into, because, okay, the Green Line initiative is there, but does the red line still exist? Okay, so these homes can be renovated and brought up to speed and code, and then be able to be sold to the those that want to purchase or buy it in the African American communities. Well, what about those that can or would like to purchase homes outside of the community? So that's still a big question. Green Line Initiative is a great start, something to look into, because as they said, home ownership, they were looking at 38% of African Americans owning their homes. That was east of Troost, where it's double that west of Troost. So we know where that red line is, right? Troost sounds like. So yeah, that's a good positive opportunity to grow the community, most definitely. But just looking for, well, what else? You know, that's great. And then of course the GIFT initiative, there's a GIFT initiative there where it gives African American Black businesses and opportunities to hire. So that's always good as well. That's a big plus, where that helps the Black-owned business, but it also helps those that are being hired. So that is pretty exciting. I like that idea too. So big ups to both of those organizations that are moving forward to do great things for the community. Now, this is going to be kind of short here. I'm kind of breezing through my information here. Now, Green Line Initiative, we talked about that. What about Kwanzaa? Kwanzaa. Now, we shared with that. Those are the 7 principles of Kwanzaa here. And I'm going to share this. I'm going to share this screen here. We'll share this window. Okay, so we've been talking about Kwanzaa, 7 principles of Kwanzaa, and I'm down to the 4th principle, Ujamaa, cooperative economics. Okay, and this is to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. Okay, so this this is the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. We know that it's celebrated during the time of Christmas, after the Christmas holiday. So we have the Christmas holiday. Then after the Christmas holiday, between Christmas and New Year's, that's the days. Those are the days when we celebrate Kwanzaa. Oh, some do. I've taken partaken and enjoyed Kwanzaa. I like the idea of Kwanzaa to reinforce and reiterate unity. But my main word, my main Bible is the Bible. That's the Holy Bible. So that's where I glean and get my information from it. And but here, this is another way of unifying the communities. So that's really what I enjoy about the Kwanzaa celebration. It's unifying. The Holy Bible is there, and He unifies us as well. But then this is another opportunity to reinforce unity, not just within the African American community, and I think that's super important. But it also, community is community, whether it's the African American community or the Hispanic community or the European American communities. We're very segregated here in the greater Kansas City, Missouri area. You pretty much know who lives. And that's just kind of how it is. But really, it's still next door. It's not like community. When we look at the community, we're still the United States of America. So this is just, to me, another opportunity to where it doesn't matter what ethnicity you are, you can celebrate this, the Kwanzaa. You can celebrate the ideas of unity to build and maintain. It says our own stores, but even in that, okay, yes, we do have a responsibility to come together. The businesses that the gift program is supporting, so we did hear about that today. So the Black-owned businesses that the gift program is supporting by supporting the employees where they can hire. That's a plus. The different shops, other businesses, and profit from them together. That's what it's about. So even though the gift program is there, then it still needs to be where European Americans, but African Americans go to shop at those businesses. So we'll need to find a list. We'll need to know what type of businesses are there. And it's still the same. We have featured the hair salon, hair shop, Mr. James Davis, entrepreneur James Davis, a great guy. And yeah, so he has a ethnic, he features ethnic hair and, hair supplies. So you can go and purchase your hair supplies from him if you need ethnic hair supplies. And we're talking about not just the African Americans that use the products, but there are some salon. There's some salon people that own salons, European Americans. They do hair that they go and purchase from him as well. So it's a community, not just our community. Yes, we definitely need to support one another, but we're talking about all communities. Just as, I featured the tree service. Monster Tree Service of Lee Summit. The Kellys, they're European American, but they're small business. And even still, they're Americans. And yes, to come together and to do business with each other, to maintain the shops, in the communities and make all of the communities, it's good business to do business with each other. African Americans should want to circulate the dollar within the African American community so that it stays there, so that there doesn't have to be so much fundraising, because this is a fundraising effort, money raised. So it's a fundraising effort, which means you got to keep giving so that there's others that can have a job at these different businesses. Well, that works. But what about just making sure that the business is there? You do business with the businesses. That's something. Now, Nia means purpose. So that's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth principle of Kwanzaa, Nia, means purpose, to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. Now, human beings, we are great. We are, because if we weren't, then the enemy wouldn't be trying to destroy us and then talk to each other where we talk to each other to destroy each other. So we're great because of who created us. He's the great one. And we're great when we have our minds transformed by him and renewed by him, our creator, the great almighty God, Jesus. Come on. So, yes, the cat is out of the bag as usual. I am a Christian. So, when we allow for him to live through us and we become his ambassadors here on earth, then that's where our greatness is. So, the purpose that we have once we become come in right relationship with our creator, then he shows us what our purpose is. And once we are well and healed in who he is and how we're to raise our children, then we can identify it because we pay attention to our children and help them along in who they're to be. So Nia means purpose, and to restore people to their greatness. That's the purpose, the vocation and building and development of the community, which that is a great aspiration to have, to aspire to do that, because it just makes it, when the community is better, then it makes it a better city. It makes it a better community, better town, better city, better state, better county, better state, better nation. So I think that it's just a plus all the way around. Now, I did pull some scripture. This is what I do because, like I said, my standard isn't the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. We know that those principles, anything good, we can know that those principles are found in the Holy Bible. We know that. So, I do share in other information, but my standard is always going to be the Bible. And even when it comes to business, we've shared that in some of the past broadcasts as well. But on life and conduct, now the book of Proverbs is great because you're going to get all the kinds of wisdom written by King Solomon, who was the wisest man that ever lived and ever will live. So Proverbs 22, 1 and 2, and then verse 16. Now I am reading this out of the Amplified, and it says, a good name earned by honorable behavior, godly wisdom, moral courage, and personal integrity is more desirable than great riches, and favor is better than silver and gold. The rich and poor have a common bond. The Lord is the maker of them all. And that's something that once we as Americans know and accept that common bond is that the Lord is our maker, then we can start respecting and loving each other. If you don't love me, at least respect me. And I think that with the different opportunities to come together and unify, celebrating Juneteenth on a national level, that's just going to be great. It's another day to come together in unity. Verse 16, it says, he who oppresses or exploits the poor to get more for himself, or who gives to the rich to gain influence and favor, will only come to poverty. Wow. So how is that going to happen? I don't know, but it does happen, and it will happen. Why? Because the Bible says it happens. Now, it might not happen right away. There might be a generation that will get away with it and oppress and exploit the poor and just to get more for himself. That's just not cool. That's not even good business. And we know that there are businesses that are no longer in business because they want to exploit and not do good business. They want to steal, do things underhandedly. Oh my goodness, we can go down the line on some of these businesses. So, that's just something that can happen. So let's look at the First Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 10. Okay, I'm going to go there and I have this here posted. So it says, I urge you, believers, by the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that all of you be in full agreement in what you say, and that there be no divisions or factions among you, but that you be perfectly united in your way of thinking and in your judgment about matters of faith. So, of course, we know that this scripture is about matters of faith. Now, one thing about it is that there's so much division. We talked about, I just shared, hey, how much division it is in the greater Kansas City area when it comes to the different communities, the European American communities, African American communities, Hispanic communities, Asian communities. I mean, you can kind of tell what's going on around, but it's even the same way, the segregation when it comes to the churches. So, that's not the way that a successful church is going to be. We need to come together and unite like never before. And this is Paul writing to the Corinthians, in the letter to the Corinthians, that you be in full agreement and that there's no divisions or factions. So that's going to be a time, and I think that we're kind of headed in that direction. There's a lot of good solutions that are coming up when it comes to financial and building up the Black communities and use Black businesses and giving finances and resources so that people can get jobs in the stores and in the Black businesses, the shops and everything. That's great. And I think that's still necessary, but there's still a lot that's going on in this country that is causing division, and it may not get solved. I don't think it's going to get solved with just the little to nothings. And so everything that we do try and everything that we come together to do together, I think is more of a better solution than united we stand, divided we fall. That's why we call ourselves, I believe, I would think the United States of America. So I think that's cool. That is cool. Well, today was kind of a short day, and I am done. I am finished. Yes. And just to know that there's still a lot going on in this country with our finances, the debt that has been accumulated, and it's like the elephant in the room, and how there's just this big balancing act to maintain the dollar system or structure the way it is. And then those that aren't certain if there's going to be inflation or deflation. Just so many questions. The COVID, how it's, you hear the newsreels, how it's getting bad here, it's getting worse, it's picking up again, and whether or not the vaccine is safe, and even for children and those that have been found to have passed from taking the vaccine. There's so much. But I will say that getting in that Holy Bible, that's going to get you the stability there, and to work together as a community to embrace and to listen and be open-minded about what's going on, so that you can be able to share your thoughts about it and then come to an understanding, a resolution of getting along and making things better. So I think that's what it's all about. And I'm pretty excited about it. There's some great things coming up here. There is a advanced Microsoft Excel class that's coming up with ASBNC training and consulting in the next few weeks. So be sure to sign up for that. And these classes, if you have something in particular that you're needing to do to accomplish, one thing about the classes that we have at ASBNC training and consulting is that it's about a skill focus. So maybe there's something particular that you're needing to do on your job with an application, but you don't want to take all these courses to try to learn to figure it out. But maybe the skill focus point is something that will help you. Well, that's what we do. So just we'll even do an analysis before the class so that we make sure that your question is answered and that the process that you need to learn is going to be covered. And we don't just drop you. So you take the class and that's it. We get a chance to build a relationship with you so that you can continue on. And if you have any other questions, if you're needing other training, then you would choose us as your preferred training facility, your preferred training company at ASBNC Training and Consulting. Well, it's been great. It has been wonderful. And I will just say take care. And if the Lord says the same, we'll see you next time.
Justice now. Justice now.